Indeed, it is an entire chapter from the Gospel of Luke. And Luke is found between the Gospel of Mark and the Gospel of John in the second section of the Bible called the New Testament. Our reading today is found on page 78 in the Pew Bible. And if your Bible is on an electronic device, you'll find it on the same page. Luke chapter 15. Now, all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling, saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. "Which one of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me.' So he divided the property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now, his elder son was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked him, what was going on? He replied, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound. Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him, but he answered his father, listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him? And the father said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. Blessings on the reading of this important chapter in Luke. You're all ready for it, I can tell. You've heard this story 1,000 times. There are great sermons about how repentant the younger son is in the story and how God will forgive you if you just repent. Just come back. There's still time. Come to Jesus. Let's have the organ play just as I am. And you'd be absolutely, categorically wrong in your interpretation of this story. It has everything to do with repentance, but it has even more to do with God's mercy. And to set this scene up, we have to remember the very beginning of the chapter, whom Jesus is responding to in these parables. Because parables are these wonderful stories that are believable, but then have this awkward twist, this change, this difference, this way of what, whoa, what's going on here moment, where we find ourselves stunned, surprised. This isn't fair. This isn't right. This is not how the book is played, and yet this is the very way that God plays the book. So what do we have at the beginning of chapter 15? We apparently have two groups of people surrounding Jesus. We have tax collectors and sinners, as Luke calls them, that are coming to Jesus. And then we have the church elders and the ministers. The Pharisees and the scribes. The religious folk. The Emily Posts of the first century. The ones that go, Jesus is attracting these sinners. He's eating with them. He's showing up at McDonald's with them. What the world is going to happen here? Doesn't he know better than to hang out with people with that? If my mother was here, she would. And so he begins these parables. And each one of these parables is about who's in the party, who's celebrating, and who, because of their own pride, and shall we say prejudice, stands out of it and stands on their righteous disobedience. As often religious folks do. Because oftentimes when we feel we are right, we don't feel very loving. And Jesus is reminding us here that when we are loving, then we are right in God's sight. So forget everything you've heard about the younger son. Forget everything about him going to a country. Forget everything about him because he's not the centerpiece of the parable. It's the relationship of the father to the two sons, and more importantly, it's the elder son who is the issue. Well, it's very simple. In the passage, the younger son is still conniving and scheming here. But at least he's honest about it. He knows the way the game's going to be played. And I know many of you are younger sons or younger daughters and go, yes, yes, justice at last. And he basically says, Father, drop dead. Give me the share of the estate. Now, something very important here. An elder son gets a double share. So he doesn't get half of the estate. The younger son's getting his share, which is a third. But note what it says. The father divided the property just with the younger son? No, the father did not. The father divides the property with them. The elder son did not go, oh, Father, please live forever. I don't need my share right now. The elder son took the father's stuff too. And that describes the relationship, oftentimes with religious people or irreligious people. They want the things, they want nothing to do with the Father. Just give us the benefits. I don't need you as a relationship, just give us the benefits. And of course, in Jesus' audience, people are cheering, rallying as he talks about the younger son getting the justice that he seemingly deserves in this passage. Because, of course, the younger son's going to run off into a country to dissolute living and run out of everything and end up being absolutely the biggest embarrassment of a good Jewish boy. A pig herder. It means he's become practically a Gentile. He's the furthest away he could possibly be from God, from his Father, from any respect, from anything needing mercy. And it says he comes to himself. Now the interesting thing is it doesn't say, woe is me. I am so sorry. How awful I was to my father. It doesn't say this at all. No, it only says he comes to his senses and knows where the Big Macs are still being served. He knows that even a servant in his father's own house is fed. There is no evidence that he is already contrite. There is no evidence that he is already seeking repentance. He is in for making a deal. So how genuine is, I will go to my father and I will say, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Do not treat me as one of your sons. Treat me as one of your servants. How often do we go through less than genuine emotions in order to still manipulate the relationship? Then there's the Father. This Father's doing an unusual thing here. This Father's looking for him. Remember, we had the two other stories of looking. We had the one sheep lost and being found. We had the 1 out of 10 coins being searched for, swept, lit, the lamp, which lighting lamps in that time period isn't a case of General Electric. It's oil, it's expensive, it's costly. And yet there's rejoicing in each being found. And this Father never surrendered the horizon line to fate. He's looking for his Son. The one who is completely disobedient, the one who is completely disrespectful, the scheming younger brother. As far as the crowd is concerned, the infidel in the midst. And from a long way off, from a distance that's further than we can possibly imagine, he spies him. Now, as a father, and if my son had the consequences of his actions so severe as the son in the story, I might look and go, okay, keep coming. This better be good. Keep coming. I can't wait to hear this story. Hey, I was almost this good. Sure. Now what does he want? No, that's not what this father does. Children run in the first century. Servants, at the beck and call of their masters, run and respond. But patriarchs, men, do not run. Yet this father picks up the robe and runs towards the lost son. Now, remember, he has the prepared script. Ready to say it. I've sinned against you. Treat me as one of your servants. He doesn't get the entire thing out. He only says, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy of your son. But already before he could even start that speech, the Father has embraced him. The Father has put his arms around him. The Father has kissed him a greeting. He still has standing as a beloved child of the Father. No act of repentance, no demand for recompensation, nothing of the sort. The Father accepts him where he stands. And as he's doing the speech, he doesn't even get it done because the Father's already turning to the slaves. Please remember, these slaves aren't the Father's slaves now. They would be the elder son's slaves. It says, quick, get the best robe. Quick, get the ring on his finger. Rings are not just, cute little things on your hands. This is the family crest, the family seal. This will be, they don't sign their documents. They don't have John Hancock's. They have a wax imprint for deal making. And the Father is grabbing whose things? The elder brothers. Kill the fatted calf. Don't kill the old roundy calf. Don't kill the old roundy cow. Kill the best, rarest of meats for him. And let us celebrate one who is lost being found. And then we hear the elder son. He was in the field. His field, remember? All of it's his. Every lock, stock, barrel, nail, tent, ring, everything the Father has already been surrendered. It's his. And he's approaching the house. And he hears something he does not approve of. A little music, a little dancing. And he calls to one of the slaves and he says, okay, what's going on here? I didn't authorize a party. What's going on? I go, your baby brother's come home. And your dad's killed your best animal. Because he's back safe and sound. The elder son keeps the rules. And when an elder son keeps the rules, when other people break the rules, when other people don't play fair, when other people don't play the same game as the elder son has already been playing, people who keep rules get really mad when they're broken. Their expectations here are disappointed, to say the least. And he refuses to go in. His father's still around. His father's still very much alive, even though he divided the estate. So for all terms and consequences legally, materially, the father is dead to the elder son. And he doesn't go in to his father's tent. The rule's been broken. I refuse to accommodate for such gross behavior. Is what the elder son is saying. And in that very act of supposed obedience to his own moral compass, he is disobeying the moral compass of his father. Because you do what your father asks. And the father shouldn't have to run out of the tent to retrieve one of his own sons. And the response is pretty predictable. When the father who bent the rules is encountering the one who believes it is their sacred pledge and charge to keep the rules at all costs. Look, I've worked like a slave. Oddly enough, how has he worked like a slave here? Because everything he's worked on is now his to begin with. So already the rule person bends the rules in their interpretation. It's all his stuff. He's been working on building his own kingdom with his father's things just as much as the younger son spent time squandering those same things. And then he says the outlandish lie, I have never disobeyed your command. Party going on over here? No. Not going. You've never given me even a young goat. Well, wait a minute here. He has 2/3 of the estate. He's behaved, he's good, he has kept it up, he's working as hard as he can, not for the relationship with his father, but for his relationship with his own means, which he inherited. Now here's the question that I would ask. How does the elder son know about the younger son's prostitutes? Other than it's very typical of rule keepers to accuse the rule breakers of doing all kinds of things because of course they did, because I never would have done that. True. And the father's response: you are with me. All that is mine is yours. And that is absolutely true. The father has nothing except the elder's son's sharing. But we should celebrate those who are lost, recovering, and being found. We had no choice. This is what we do. Dead people coming back to life. Perhaps the younger son is repenting now. But there's no chance of repentance by condemnation. There's only a chance for repentance by extraordinary acts of mercy. Running, embracing, kissing even before the feeble confession's done, embracing and saying, you are home, you are here. And the big message of this lesson is that the rules don't matter. The rules don't matter. It's the expression of love that expresses the rules. Good behavior doesn't get you on God's side any more than bad behavior is immediately condemned. Or there's lots of good people who do horrible things. And there are horrible people, at least in our judgment, feeble though it is, that unexpectedly give grace. And we have a choice. We can either keep the rules and be out of the party, standing on our self-righteousness, making ourselves our own God, or we can hang out with the ones that Jesus hung out with. The perhaps considering repenting sinners. Maybe the perhaps flagrant ones of all. Doesn't hurt to eat with them. We celebrate, because what is lost is never lost in God's eye. And what is found may not really be obedient, may not really be there for the best of intentions, the best of motives, maybe just there to get the Father's things. But it's God in all of this that pursues the one sheep. It's God who pursues for the one coin, burning costly oil to sweep the debris away to find the silver coin. It's the Father who runs to the disobedient. And it's the Father who also pleads with the obedient to come. Come, celebrate. For the lost the dead can return to life. We had no choice. What was lost has been found.